Welcome back to Naval Action. I actually had planned to show you my new surprise, but I parked it up off the north coast of Cuba because my clan's doing some stuff up there, and there's no missions. It's very tragic. So I came back to my local haunt and decided to see how a frigate goes undermanned. So I'm still Master and Commander level, which means I've only got 250 crew at my disposal. So I'm 40 crew short of what I probably should be running with on the frigate. Now the frigate is actually a class of ship. Most of the ships are classes named after a particular ship. There were lots of frigates. The British had a very famous frigate called HMS Warrior that served with amazing distinction in the West Indies. But this particular frigate is based on a Russian design. I don't know anything about the Russian Age of Sail Navy. It's got a little bit of Russian gibberings on the back. Apparently that's a little play on words that one could translate as "you can't catch me," but you could equally translate as "have a dick." So I'm not quite sure what's going on there. Russian sense of humour is not something I'm highly attuned to. I've got a tricky mission here. I'm up against two Cerebus's. Now the nice thing with the frigate compared to the Surprise is the calibre of guns, and it's really the primary difference is the calibre of guns. So they have the same number of guns, 19 on each side. They both have bow chasers. However, the frigate doesn't have any guns on its rear, which is quite unusual. But that's now, when you undercrew a ship, you kind of pay a penalty, and that's the reload speed of the guns, and to some extent the sailing capability of the crew. These guys are trying to take me into the wind, which isn't the best place for me in this thing, but anyway, let's follow them. When you are undercrewing a ship, as long as you don't do what I've just done, which is fire off both broadsides, with the new mechanic for allocating, how many sailors are on the rigging and how many are on the guns, you actually won't pay a penalty. However, having just fired a broadside on both sides, I am paying a penalty. Let's just wait for these to reload and I'll take you through the specs. Shots whistle off. Just see how much of that armour I'm eating here. And I'll close in on it. So, 19 guns on each side, so it's 6 guns on the weather deck. Now, they can either carry 24-pound carronades or 6-pound long. So the weather deck is that's where I get my the 6 guns come from, which are the quicker loading carronades. The main gun deck, which is 13 guns, and this is where it really kicks in. So first of all, it can carry 12-pound longs, which is really good for PvP. But it can also carry the 32-pound carronades, which is what I'm packing now, and hopefully if I get a good run on this shot here. So we've sent him into reload shot, which is kind of really important when you're up against two ships, because now I can just sit on him, and as long as he doesn't turn too far, I think he's just showing me his bottom. I'm going to take some sailors off sailing and leave them on guns. I think he's just getting his bow chases, stern chasers into me. The frigate has got quite a bit more armour than the Surprise. It's got 2,540 armour. The interesting thing is that's still less than the Renommée, so it just goes to show you what a little tanky beast that is. And this guy seems to be running away a little bit, which is annoying. Given I've just kind of turned my crew off sailing. does give me an opportunity to stern rake there. Alright, so we got a few into him. We got 4 or 5 into the stern. In the longer ships, it's a bit tricky stern raking actually. I think you're best single tapping rather than doing what I just did there with a big broadside. Because too many of the shots, as this guy's just done to me, too many of the shots go sort of sliding by. So Roger Crow has opened a gap. I don't know if they've improved the AI there, and he's sort of gone, hang on a minute, this fella's chucking fridges at me. Yeah, but 2,540 armour. Which is about 100 and something less than the Renome runs with. She's reasonably quick. She's about half a click slower than the Surprise. So the Surprise is, from memory, it's around 12.5 knots at top click. This baby is just above 12. So we set them into shock again. We've nailed a cannon. We've also caused a leak. So if I was sailing in my Surprise, this would be a much harder battle. Predominantly because up against 2 ships, it's difficult to stop both of them getting a crack at you. It's not impossible, but it's difficult. I'm doing an okay job of it on this run, but I was up against 2 Renomes in the last one, and they're too fast. They're too fast to control. I'm just going to let both sets reload because I want to try and keep him in reload shock. So hopefully any time now. Here we go. In you go, son. This should cause a huge mess. So we didn't put him into reload shock, but he's struggling a bit. So 12 knots is okay. You can put £6 cannons on the nose, £6 longs, so it's not a bad chaser. £6 cannons on your nose gives you lots of options. I'm going to give this guy one more love tap, and then I'm going to change focuses because I think he's going to sink soon, although it doesn't look very low in the water. But things have got to be getting a bit hairy, haven't they? Look at that, there's not much of her left. She's more cannons than... more cannonballs than ship. I'm gonna change my... well, my pump's been knocked out, and the other guy just stern raked me. Well, time to turn, I think. Now at the moment, if I'm clicking the sails on manual, nothing's happening, and that's because I don't have any sailors on my rigging at all. So I'm just going to change that. We'll fire our front guns as we go past this chap. Going past him a little bit closer than I did at point. And this should be devastating. Or it would have been devastating if I'd have hit with more of them. Anyway, I'm going to leave him alone now and go and play with his buddy over here. I'm going to work on the basis he's going to sink soon. So, why would you undercrew the frigate when you can sail the Surprise? These harder missions, I mean, they are just that. You're up against 2 reasonably decent ships. Your firepower is dramatically increased, which really does give you an opportunity to put the spank on, to put the hurt on. So let's just see if I can turn back around and bring him back on my side. I'm just trying to find, I've got myself in a rather bad spot where both of them can get broadsides on me. So we don't like that. I was hoping this guy would have sunk right now. So you can deal a lot more damage, you've got a lot more armour. As I've explained, if you fire off both broadsides, you do run a little bit of a risk that you'll get yourself into a bit of a reload jam. And you'll also find that I think you'll also find over time that if you get yourself into a situation, which I'm not far off being in, where you need to do lots of repairs, I think you'll start suffering then. I think it's a great thing to go fleeting with your buddies with. You'll see how much slower the ships are now when they're in chains. I should be able to go back to manual sails about now. And then you won't catch much wind, unfortunately, because as you come out of manual sails and coming into effectively flat sails, but here we go, she's coming out. Can't believe Roger's still up. Right, let's focus on bringing Top Alberic down. A classic 18th century name, 19th century name, I believe, Top Alberic. And see where he's going. I don't know where he's going, he's just turning around. So I want to stay out of Roger's range. Like I said, I've got no idea how he's still floating, to be honest, and indeed shooting me. So I'm going to give the frigate a go for a while. I will use my surprise when we're doing things like port battles, because I don't think it's right that the team suffers if you are slow to reload or your sailing isn't as good. I don't like bringing that into a team situation. I think that's not right. But when we're fleeting with buds or taking on AI fleets, that's what I mean by fleeting with buds, or when I'm grinding out missions just to get myself further up the line and earn a few quid, then I think this is quite a good option. One of the guys in the clan has been doing it for a while, and he reckons once you get used to the bigger ship, you get used to the reload times, and you stay away from doing those double broadsides, then it's all apples. I'm about to do a double broadside now because I want to finish this guy off. And, you know, one can't turn down that little bit of extra experience. Still finding a bit high. She doesn't heal very much, so she doesn't lean very much in the wind. A little bit, but if you keep her close to the wind, she's pretty good. It's also relatively easy just to turn your sails, to flatten your sails, to get rid of that problem if you find yourself healing too much. But if you look right now, she's pretty steady. She's not as steady as the serve was. In fact, she just lifted up as I fired there, rather annoyingly. So I'm just going to go to battle sails. I don't need to be rushing at the moment. I'm moving away from him. That seemed about right. I find with the carronades I'm not as good at range. I don't actually want to be at range, but Top here, he's not cooperating, although they're a bit short of me. So let's head in and see if we can. Oh, that's good. So that's his buddy down. So again, he's turning through the wind on me. He's really been annoying. The AI do like to play this Ring a Roses circle game. I've forgotten to put myself back to full sail, which is why I'm turning so slowly. I'm taking a bit of a spanking on this side, but I'm confident once I get close to him, with the sheer firepower of this thing, he'll be 3 broadsides and it'll be time to write letters home to the family. So we're out of chains. Let's see if we can get some shots off on him. Do a ranger, a little bit short. He's turning away from me, which is very annoying. Alright, let's let him come round and close in. Now while he's doing that, I'm just going to jump into repairs because I'm loaded up, more or less. So we'll jump into repairs, we'll take men off sailing. So we've still got chaps on the guns, and fixing them their holes in my ship, of which there are many. So you can see with the longs, their trajectory is sort of far more predictable. With the carronades at range, you see they look good as they first leave the gun, and then they just plop into the water. I guess that's what happens when you're firing a right big caliber ball. So right now what I want to do is I want to come up alongside this guy and bring the spank, and although it will cost me a couple of quid in repairs, it is my last mission of this cycle, so I can be a little bit more daring, I suppose, because I'll be in port where the repairs are much cheaper. I was interested that when I went up to the other area with my surprise on the north of Cuba, that basically I couldn't find missions. I don't know if that's a thing. I guess it must be. But it's the first time I've sort of been somewhere where there just isn't missions. Just says no missions available right now. Don't know if that's a bug. I reported it. Or if it's a thing, and if there's areas that, for whatever reason, are sure. I know that all the cities around there, all the ports around there, are ports that we've recently captured. So I don't know if it's because of that. I know one used to be neutral, or maybe it's a way of just forcing people into hubs. You know, if most of the missions are centred around a regional capital or whatever, then it might be a way of forcing people into hubs. But anyway, gave me an opportunity to sail this baby. Let's have a little look at her while we're chasing this guy down. So she looks like a proper ship. The frigates were really the workhorses of the British Navy in particular. They used to use a lot of frigates. They used to effectively escort their third and second rates. In naval action, there's a lot more big ships proportionately than there were in real life, because these big ships took years to build. One of the reasons why it's actually very rare that ships got sunk and they were captured is because as a prize, capturing an enemy ship was far more valuable than sinking. I mean, yes, you were denying the enemy a ship, but if you captured a ship, you know, not only did you deny them a ship, but your fleet got bigger. And a lot of the, especially with some of the commissioned and private endeavours, there's a lot of money was lent in order to finance a fleet. And as a result of that, the prize ships were often the best way of effectively financially returning yourself to solvency. It was actually quite a big business. So thankfully it's going wide with most of these, because I managed to... One of the things to do is, if you see someone lining up on you, is to change your angle, so that if you think about the arc of the shot, he's effectively doing that to me now. The arc of the shot coming out of the ship, change your angle and a broadside will end up trailing past you. So I'm just going to single tap these shots out while he's being annoying, and then when he offers me his broadside, that's when I'll let the rest go. But it's interesting with since the last couple of patches, I think the IA, there you go, so I'm moving my ship around. I just changed the aspect of my ship, and then all of his shots went behind me. They do tend to, I think, play a slightly different game. They certainly seem to sail further from me than they used to. What's my sector? Rolling front. Okay. And you can see, even at range, I mean, that's, well, it's put him into reload shock. It's put 2 leaks into him and absolutely wrecked the hull. So that was the best part of half his armour that took off. Also caused a leak, which will mean some of his crew have to bugger off into survival mode, which in turn slows down the reloading of his guns, and also because he's in reload shock, the whole process, when someone goes into reload shock, the whole process of reloading stops, and it stops for a different amount of time, but it can be 30 seconds, which basically can give you, I've got here now, I've got 2 complete salvos up, and he's back into reload shock. And in the missions, this is really the way to get the domination happening. So right now we're not looking anywhere near sailing into the wind. We're going to have the wind behind us, so I don't need to put my sailors onto the sails, and this really is the secret to sailing undercrewed. Harder to do in PvP, which is why I probably wouldn't personally do it in PvP, just because typically you're doing it in a group, and I don't really want the group to have to sort of carry me. They have to carry me because of my shonky skills, but I don't want them to carry me because of my shonky skills and my undercrewed ship. So just do a check, make sure we're in range. We are, and this will cause a mess. Okay, we didn't go into reload shock, but we got him into I've got no bloody armour left shock, which has to be concerning. And we're going to get nice and tight on him now. I'm going to drop down to the 100-metre focus, get a nice cluster of shots in. Now my armour is getting a little bit wobbly on this side, but it doesn't look as though we're going to be in a great deal of trouble here. So we've dealt with 2 ships. We'll get a nice bag of experience out of this. This will be about at least 300 and something experience. We'll probably get at least 10 or 12k in rewards. Now we're beginning to put the leaks on. We've nobbled a cannon. So nobbling a cannon's good. Again, I turn my aspect when he shoots. You actually got a better round off that time. Hoping that some of them will drift behind my ship or towards your ship if you depends on whether or not you're turning away or turning in. And now really close. This should be not quite the kill shot because these ships stay afloat for a long time. Very hard to sink a wooden ship. Wood floats. Wood with holes in it floats. So, unless you're capturing a ship, really what you're looking at doing is module damage or causing leaks. So, I've just taken out 7 cannons. So we can't have many cannons left on this side. Fair whack of damage, but yeah, 7 cannons. So now, basically, he's got, you know, maybe 3, 4 active cannons. We'll see in a minute when his ports open. It tells you up here how many ports they have on each side. If there's a number there, there's 1 fired. If there's so he's got 5 left. If there's a number there, that's how many he's got open, ready to fire, and then it goes to 0 after they've fired. So he's got no ports open. He's basically reloading everything at the moment. So this should be fairly devastating from this range. Just let that wave go by. You've got to kind of watch the waves, otherwise you end up killing a lot of sea, which doesn't seem to help. Dolphins. So that's 6 leaks, which is trouble at mill for him, I'm reckoning. Dirty pirate scumbag. Top Albert. So he's going to have to get all his boys plugging them leaks. That's 6 leaks. Is I think it's on the smaller ships it's 3 men per leak. On the bigger ships I think it's 5 from memory. I'm going to try and set him on fire. If you aim just behind the cabin on some of these lower ships, that's where the gunpowder store is. So and the Cerberus, I'm leaking now. The Cerberus quite enjoys catching fire. It seems to be made of petrol. So let's let these waves go by and then release the spanking. Fire off it, but we took 2 more cannons out. So you'll see now that 24 of my guys have gone down below to try and plug that leak, which they don't seem to be doing a particularly good job of. Stay calm, but I'm leaking quite quickly. I think it's because my pump's broken. So what I can do is I can go into fire and I can do an urgent repair, and I think that fixes my pump. Yeah, it does. That's fixed my pump. This is looking a bit tricky right now, but no need to panic. Nothing much we can do about it now. It's not like we can run away. More cannons. No more leaks. So from crew, So this is rather exciting. So my pump should be working now. Still just keeping pace with him. I've dropped my sails to half. Don't really need to be much closer. He's certainly lower in the water. I noticed his last couple of shots have basically just hit the water unless he's been cresting a wave. Let's see if this is the coup de grace. So the waves are out of the way. Fire everything. So another 2 leaks. 3 leaks. 14 hits. Surely that's enough to sink top Alberic, the unsinkable. I hope so, because I've got no more repairs I could do. And I'm certainly we've got more of an indoor swimming pool than we would have liked. He seems to be in more trouble than me. If you do start getting low in the water, you get a little red X appears where your number normally appears. Yeah, he's sunk. He's gone. And that's because your gun ports are below the waterline. All right, mate. Say cheerio. There we go. Good. So there you go. That's a look at undercrewing a frigate. I took a little bit more damage than I would have liked in the end. Let's have a look at the experience though, just to give you some ideas. So I'm at Master and Commander level, which normally means you're in a surprise. And you'll see there I got 21,000 in gold, so that's very nice. That'll pay for the repairs. So I could use repair kits. 3 repair kits to get me back up. That's about 4,500. And I got 334 XP, plus I got the XP from doing the mission. And we got some beer, or more likely rum, so hurrah. So you can buy yourself a frigate for about 90k to kit it out with carronades, so 32 pounder on the main deck, 24 on the weather deck, and probably some longs on the rear. You could, on the front you could put carronades. You can put the 24 carronades on the front. That's about another 20k. So all up you're probably going to be paying 110, 115k to get your frigate set up. Stick some repair kits in there. That's another 6 or 7k, depending on how many repair kits you like to run around with. But you do lots of damage, you get lots of experience, you earn lots of money. And certainly for missions and for fleeting with your mates, where a bunch of you take on AI, I reckon it's a good idea. For PvP, where I think you need to be in the best shit you can, doing the best things you can, personally I'd probably still run with my surprise. If I was in this, I'd definitely be running in longs. The cost to kit it out in longs is about the same. So that's it. You've had a look at the frigate. She's an okay looking ship. All the ships of this age look beautiful, but you know, compared to the gorgeous Renome or even the Niagara, I also think the Trinket Connies look really nice. She does look a bit of a workhorse. I hope you enjoyed that look at a frigate, and in particular undercrewing a frigate. If you did, please subscribe, and I'll see you on the oceans, and I'll catch you.